I did promise you guys that since I do have time on Saturday mornings, I would always do something on Saturday mornings. I still haven't found time to do more during the weekdays, but that's just because we've been so busy at the gym. But one of the things I wanted to pick up on here, I gave you sort of an overview last week, and the thing that I talked about was that there's suspects and prospects, and also about qualifying people even as they come in through the door. And I suggested it, but I didn't really get into it. So today I'm going to talk a little bit more about it. So everyone out there is a suspect. I'll get into this again at some point, I'm sure. But let me just briefly say that the biggest mistake people make is thinking it's a scarcity mentality, thinking that the gym that's down the block or down the road is competition. If you think about like a major metro area, I mean, again, there's always going to be exceptions to these things, but in most areas, certainly New York City where I am, there are so many people that every gym could have 1% of the population, and we wouldn't be competing at all. And if we actually ended up with 1% of the population, we'd all be multimillionaires. It's just not the case. It's not a scarcity mentality. Don't think about that. And again, also, you're made by competition because as I get more into the deeper things, and I'm going to explain to you how you define yourself and how you establish yourself and how you create a niche for yourself. There's a Thai boxing gym right on the street with me, like literally on the same block. I don't consider them competition at all. And they run a completely different way. They want to do things completely differently than I do. And I have a different mission statement and everything. So it's not an issue. But the suspects are out there. So you're trying to find these people, and you're trying to get them to know about you, and you're trying to find out who's interested and who will contact you. So like I said, you have your link wheel. You should be putting up content daily. It's easy to do. Obviously, all these things we will go over in depth, but pick up your phone every class and take 3 or 4 short 35-second videos, for example, of your classes, and then as sort of a cut and paste thing with your hashtags, whatever your tagline is. My thing is real people doing real technique and seeing real results. And that's because, in the fitness industry, there's so many people that are not doing real martial arts. They're doing kind of like, aerobics with some kicks in it. And I use that all the time. So produce content. You can put up memes. You can put up pictures. I'm about to do an upgrading today and give people their certificates. And I always take pictures with them with certificates, and I put up congratulations, blah, blah. And, and on places like Facebook, you can tag them so that then their friends will see it. This is organic search. And then, like I said, you should have a certain amount of ad spend to get, paid for. Those people are going to come through that link wheel to your website. They should opt in order to get your information. In other words, put your email here to get our class schedule. Now, don't be upset if people call you and go, I can't find your class schedule. It will happen all the time. But still, and don't give it to them. Everyone has to opt in. If you don't want to opt in, that's one of your first red flags. They're not not even a suspect. They're, what was the term they used to use? Looky-loo, tire kickers. If somebody doesn't want to give you their email, they're not that serious. Who's afraid to give an email? Give a fake email. I don't know about you, but I have 7 or 8 different emails. And sometimes when I want to just get access to something, I give one of the ones that, all the spam goes into. This is how you qualify people. Then they get on, and to a certain extent that you want them to see your schedule. I mean, I'll talk about how to set up your website, even though I said I'm not going to set up websites for anybody. I'm not going to do that. And look at your schedule and see if they're qualified. In other words, if people have these sometimes weird schedules, they're never going to make a class. That's okay. There are tons of people that will make your classes. Have that offer. 3 classes, 4 classes, 5 classes, 6 classes, 8 classes, 10 classes. They can give you money right away. And remember what I told you. Once somebody pays you money, they are more likely to pay you money again. And if somebody is not willing to put $29 down for 3 classes and a pair of gloves, and again, it's not just the classes, it's the gloves, or maybe it's going to be a t-shirt, or maybe it's going to be a uniform, something like that. Well, how serious are they? People go, well, I don't have spectators. I have signs on my door that say no spectators. First of all, they're unqualified. If they're not willing to buy a web special and try a class, they're not qualified. Second of all, what you're doing is you're making your paying members feel uncomfortable. You're making your paid members feel uncomfortable. So, I'm sorry, give me 1 second here. You don't want strangers standing there gawking at the people that are working out in your classes. You just don't want it. You don't want to deal with that. Qualify people. They've done a web special. They've bought a Groupon. They're at least willing to spend some money. They're not going to all be the best prospects. They're qualified, though. Suspects, prospects. Because sometimes people will come onto your website and they will opt in. They will give you the email, and then you can mark to them. They become prospects. Don't know how qualified they are. When they buy a web special or Groupon, they're qualified. Let's further qualify them. As I said, when somebody comes into your gym, the first thing that you should hand them is a waiver. Now, people will tell you about the legalities of waivers, and I said this in the last podcast. The waiver is not going to get you out of a court case. A waiver is not going to win you a decision, especially where negligence is concerned. And so you have to be a professional. You have to pay attention. You have to offer a facility that's safe. You have to think logically in how you run classes. This is what the waiver does. Well, I mean, one, it'll discourage some people from signing it because they go, "Oh, I signed the waiver," but that's not what it's for. Things the waiver should tell you. Well, do they have previous injuries? Right? So you may have to work around that. But qualifying for the business stuff, because that's what we're here for, right? The business stuff. Are you employed? You have to be careful about it. Put occupation. Don't say, "Are you employed?" because that's questionable. Put occupation. And most people will put something, or they'll put self-employed or whatever. And some people will put unemployed. And if they're unemployed, well, then it's not impossible that they will join, surprisingly enough. But in other words, they're a little less qualified. Somebody puts down, self-employed. Well, they have money. They have their own business. They'll put down, I work, for the municipal system. I work in a big hospital. These people have money. They're in there to spend. Are you planning to stay in the area for at least 6 months? Because if somebody is here passing through, or they're planning to move next month, they're not going to join your membership. At least 6 months. You can say to somebody, well, you can join, take classes for 2 or 3 months, and then when you move, you can cancel your membership. In New York State, you're required to by law anyway. But you want to know that before you have to deal with these objections. What are your fitness goals? What are your goals? Depending on what program, for a fitness program, if you're doing a fitness kickboxing, if that's your orientation, what are your goals? If you're running more like a martial arts school, what are your goals? And some people say fitness also, and again, that's okay. You should stress when you sit down and talk to them the fitness aspects of doing martial arts, self-defense. I want to learn martial art. I entertain. You should put all these things so you get an idea of what they are, so that you can tell them why your program is so well suited for what they want to do and how you're going to help them achieve those goals. Very important. So a waiver will tell you, are they employed? What are their goals? How many times a week do you want to train? 1 time a week, 2 times a week, 3 or more times a week. So that then you can say to them, well, I have a 1 time a week program that's perfect for you. Or you want to do unlimited? I'm going to have this program. And sometimes you downsell. I do anyway. Which is, I have it unlimited. It's expensive. If somebody tells me they want to do 3 or more, I'm not convinced that most people will actually do 3 or more. People that say they're going to do 3 or more often do 2, sometimes 3. So sometimes you can sell them the 2 times a week program. They're going to feel like they got a bargain. They're not going to really use it more than 2 or 3 times a week anyway. And it's an easier sell because you're giving them the open hand thing. I'm going to give you some free stuff if you sign up today. I'm going to, if you do it today, I'll give you the one rate lower. So it'll save you some money. If it's $15 a month, you're saving over $200 a year. That's a dinner out. That's a gift for your kid. That's whatever it is. So find out what are they interested in. They're coming one time a week. Now you'll get people that'll tell you, "Oh, I have such a crazy schedule." Honestly, you have two choices there. You can sell class cards. We used to do a huge volume of business on class cards, which is for the people that don't want to make a commitment. And at least 75% of the people that buy class cards will never show up. Because they're not willing to make a commitment to one time a week. One time a week. You really should tell people if you're not going to come at least one time a week, you're not going to see any results. You're not going to make any progress. You want to learn a martial art, you can't learn a martial art if you can't even make it one time a week. One time a week is like a half of 1% of your week. I think 2 times a week is around 1% of your week. I've done the statistics on it, but I forget what they are. But again, it's ridiculous if you cannot find time to come once a week. So once a week should be the bare minimum, and you should tell somebody that, honestly, in my opinion. Listen, you're going to have to find, there's that meme, if you don't want to work out, well, I hope you're investing in dying. You can either work out one time a week or you could die. You need to work out at least one time a week. You should be able to find one time a week, 1 hour out of a 24-hour day, out of 7 days. You should be able to find 1 hour to come in and work out. So I'm doing more and more and more monthly. I've moved away from class cards. Class cards are tempting. They seem like a good deal. You can sell them. They have a lot of problems. They affect your cash flow. Do monthly. So you should have a 1 time a week, a 2 time a week, and an unlimited. And remember, like I said, you can give people the 2 time a week. Even if they say they're unlimited, very few people are going to show up 3 or more times a week. Very few people. They may take 2 or 3 classes in that day, and again, it doesn't really matter. You want to get people on a contract so they're paying you every month, and you want to know that that monthly number is going up every month. That's what it is. That's really what it's about. And people don't cancel contracts. It's hard to cancel a contract, and then they have auto renews. I'll teach you how to do this. And even once they do the auto renew, unless they were really unhappy, miserable people, the billing will just keep going on and going on and going on and going on, and it'll build up because you're adding 7 or 8 contracts every month, bare minimum. That should be your bad month, 6, 7 people. A good month could be 20 people. The days of doing 30 or more, I think, are gone. I had one month I did 114 at the height of when I was in that franchise, at the height of the fitness craze. We did 114 one month. I don't think you're going to do those numbers. I don't think it's possible to do those numbers anymore. Unless you're in a brand new market where nobody is. But then, I don't know about, the demographics. 7 to 20. And, you see all this stuff on the internet. I'll guarantee you 30 clients a month, 40, 50 clients a month. They don't mean clients. They mean they'll get you suspects. They may not even be prospects. People come in, you qualify them, right? There are several schools of thinking on how you deal with the first day person, but what I believe is you put them in a class, not in a private lesson by themselves, because that's bait and switch. And if you start off with that, you're going to more likely have problems. Start off in a private class where they have one instructor who's giving them 100% undivided attention, and then once they join, they go into a class where there's one instructor and 20 people and they're not getting undivided attention. They're not going to be happy. Put them in a regular class. Certainly, maybe, if you can, have an assistant instructor there to help them through. Keep an eye on them. Do what you do with every student, which is walk up to them and give them corrections and give them encouragement. The encouragement is as important as the instructions. In some ways, it's more important. But don't do a bait and switch. And then sit down with them at the end. And, we'll do this. We'll go through all this. Do a sale with them. Sit down with them. I don't believe in hard sales. Give them the option. And then, like I said, there's a thing that I call a chicken dinner card, which I stole from John Taffer from Bar Rescue. I watch Bar Rescue, and people go, "Why are you watching Bar Rescue?" Because it's business. It's the psychology of human beings. I used to watch Tabitha's Salon Rescue about hair salons. Obviously, I'm not using the hair salon, but it makes you think about business stuff. Makes you think about human interaction. Doesn't matter what the business is. In the salon thing, one of the things we talked about was that a coat of paint is everything. Every couple of years, just paint your school. Even paint a wall differently. Paint is super cheap, but showing that you care about your business will have an effect, a positive effect upon your income. It really will. Um, Salon business dealing with women who are more difficult customers, more demanding customers than men, always, 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 and see how they deal with those things. Bar rescue, how do you deal with people? What to avoid? Bar rescue, more than anything else, talks about the influence, impact, and importance of owner attitude toward his business and how it reflects upon the staff, and then how it reflects upon the bottom line and how much money you make. Chicken dinner card is basically this. Somebody walks into a bar. Taffer says, give them something to make sure that they come back, because you have them there, but you want them to come back. In the martial arts, we used to say, pay, stay, and refer. Have them pay, have them stay so they keep paying, and then make them happy and refer. But we're talking about the first part of that stuff, which is the paying and the staying thing. Somebody comes in, for example, on a web special or a Groupon, and they don't join the first class. You want them to come back for the second class. You'd be surprised how many people buy 10 classes, come and take one, and you never see them again. And a lot of times it's not even you. You didn't do a sale. You didn't try to sign them up. You didn't twist their arm. People are just bad at making commitments to themselves. So you give them a chicken dinner card. And the chicken dinner card basically says, if you join at any point during your trial, it says 100 on mine. It said save $100 because my registration fee was $100. I'm arguing now whether I should change the card to say $150 because my quote unquote registration fee went up to $150. Doesn't matter. It says say something. It saves something. It'll make them come back. And also, you can say to them after 2 or 3 classes, I want to remind you that, if you're enjoying this and you want to do it, I can still save you some money. And again, I never intended to collect the registration fee. But, it's hard to get somebody to sign up on their first class if they have 9 more classes remaining. But if they take 6 or 7 and they only have 4 classes remaining, and I say to them, well, I can't give you a great deal because you've already taken some classes, but I can waive that $150 so you just have to pay me the first month. Aha. I'm getting money from them. I'm getting their first month, $140, $165, $179 up front. And really, depending on how your month is, you may want to say, I can still do this. If you want to do this today, I'll waive the registration fee and I'll waive the first month. Because remember, the month that you're in should have already been paid for by what you did the last couple of months and your monthly billing. You're looking to increase the billing for next month. You have them sign a contract and they're going to pay next month. Now, it's always nice to get that extra money up front because, bills show up and they always show up. But it gives you flexibility. Once you understand this stuff, people are always thinking, I have to get money, and then they're so desperate to get money, they're not making any money. You have to have a serious but relaxed attitude about money. I know that maybe doesn't make sense, but if you're desperate, desperation comes across. They tell you that stuff like this, like when they have like dating boot camps and stuff. Human interaction, but they tell you there's also like business negotiations. If you seem desperate, like you go into a house, you never go, this is the most beautiful house ever. I'd love to live in this house because you have no leverage anymore. Oh, house is nice. Oh, hey, look, this is good. But let me ask you about this. In other words, always sort of stay not completely negative, but don't, seem desperate. So that gives you some leverage. Suspects, prospects, qualified prospects. Other things, you throw them in a regular class, right? Because you want to see how they behave in a regular class. For me, one of the biggest red flags is if you do not accept instruction, it's very hard for me to deal with you. Very hard for me to deal with you. And you're going to be a difficult person. And I'm not sure I want to sign you up. And some people I don't want to sign up. I know that makes no sense in a business group to say some people no. But you know what? Your business is something you have to do 5-6 days a week. excuse me, 5, 6 days a week you have to deal with these people. You don't want to deal with miserable people. It'll make you miserable and it'll affect your business, bottom line. Have them put them in class and see if they're the kind of person that's going to fit in. You'll get somebody in class and you put them with a member and they'll both be laughing and giggling. You go, oh, that's a nice person. And they're going to fit right into the community. You get somebody and they're, a jerk. Well, do you want them to come in and make your other members, your paying members, your long-term members miserable? Probably not, I would guess, right? I mean, I had a guy come into one of my contact programs, really wanted to do a contact program. And he was hitting the guy that was a member. And then when the guy that was a member hit him back, he was like, hey. I was like, I don't need that guy in my program. I don't need him at all. I have people that come in and say, I did a little bit of something. Okay, walk them through it. They're very attentive. They're very thankful. They're nice people. That's the person you want. And again, sometimes in the first class, they don't want to do it immediately. You sit down, you give them the information, go, hey, great. So when do you want to do your next class? You learn 2 or 3 classes, and then 2 or 3 classes, and so you just drop the suggestion. I just wanted to remind you, if you're thinking about doing the membership when this trial is over, don't forget about that card that I gave you that'll save you money. Or you may want to do it this month because next month we're going to have a rate increase. And if you say something like that, make sure you're going to have a rate increase. I did a lot of business in December because in January I was going to change my rates. If I had told all those people I was going to change my rates and I didn't change my rates, it would be a problem. But I changed my rates. It went up by about $5 a month for every program. And you go, well, $5 is not a big deal. Yeah, but they still save $5. And, $5, $60 a year. It's, again, if I said to you, I can give you $60 or you can give me $60. Most people would not pull $60 out of their pocket and just hand it to me. And they wouldn't mind taking $60 out of my pocket. Small things do make a difference. So you got to make sure that your website helps you figure out which are suspects and which are prospects. Never do free intros because then you're not qualifying anything. It's free. Maybe I'm just in the area for like the day and I just am bored for the next few hours. I meet my friend in 5 hours for lunch, for dinner, for drinks. So I'm going to take a free martial arts class. What could have hurt? And if you have to give them something like gloves or something, then you're going to be at a loss every time. Paid intros. Paid intros tell you who are the qualified prospects. Give them an intro sheet so you can qualify them more, figure out whether they're going to be a right fit. Put them in the class and observe them in the class. Discuss with your staff, especially if you're going to teach and the staff is going to do the sales, what's going on with the person. Sometimes you're teaching a class and so your staff dealt with them at the front desk. You go and say, what was the person like at the front desk? People sometimes tell you everything you need to know about them in the first 5 minutes they walk through the door. Make sure when you book them, we'll get into all this stuff, but make sure when you book them, you let them know they have to be on time, and being on time is 15 minutes early. And do they show up 15 minutes early or do they show up 2 minutes before the class? Do they apologize because they're a little late? Or do they show up, hey, yeah, I'm here for my class? How do they even deal with a human being? Like, hi, I'm here for my first time. My name is... Or, yeah, I'm here for class. Tells you a lot about people. And again, remember, don't be desperate. Don't try to sign up miserable people because you're so desperate for money. You'll be miserable with a bunch of miserable people, and miserable people also don't pay. As always, guys, if you have any questions, stick them in the group or contact me directly. And again, if I'm doing the Shaw Brothers Kung Fu movie thing, I apologize. Hopefully you can hear this, though.